Hi, everyone. Welcome to Climb Your Everest Leadership Workshop Series. This is, I think, session 23, which we're going to talk about communication skills. Today, our guest speaker is Reagan. Rick is a volunteer of Climb Your Everest organization. He's based in Utah, United States. And he's been helping us in the past year with the different projects that we have at Climb Your Everest. Thank you, Reagan, for being here today and sharing your expertise of communication skills with us.
Thank you, Sarah. I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to meet both Amrita and Maya. How do you say your name?
Maya.
Maya, are you on mute or?
Yeah, she's on.
Is your internet okay? Do you not have a hat? There. Can we hear you now?
All right.
Yay. There's a smile. Okay, well, I'm going to keep going. But one of the big things on communication skills, as we'll talk about, is active listening and getting feedback and responding to that. So when I can see Amrita, I can adjust what I'm saying based upon her smile, based upon her facial expressions. And then when I see Maya, I can tell whether she's listening or I've misspoken or she didn't understand something. So that's a huge part of what we're going to talk about. So, Amrita, if you're the only one with a good connection, you're going to get a lot of questions on this. But I know you can.
A lot of questions.
I know you can handle this. Well, I'm excited to be helping out. And so my background is I was a lawyer for quite a while and a banker. And as a lawyer, you have to have good communication skills. And the type of law that I practiced, I did a lot of public speaking and I wrote a lot of papers and letters and correspondence for my clients. So that's my primary background in communication. It's not as a teacher. And so I'm looking forward to learning some things from both of you, as we all have a wealth of knowledge of communication skills. I have the outline, but we're going to be very participatory because that's how I like to communicate, and that's how I think people learn the best. So, Mike, good to see you. And Rita has already told us that the internet where she is at and the power is not dependable. So if something happens and you have to drop off, if you can come back and join us, that would be awesome. We'd love to have you. And so we are going to be very flexible in how that all goes. So what I hope to do now is Sarah probably knows this, but I would like to learn a little bit about each of you. What is your background and what do you currently do and what kind of field will you be using these communication skills in?
Shall I go first?
Please.
Yeah, I'm Amrita from Kathmandu, Nepal, and I'm a teacher working since 8-9 years. And I work with the students from junior 2 years, from 2 years to 11, 12 years. So I have to engage with these kind of students. Sometimes I have to go very down level and sometimes I have to go very upper level. So according to that, I have to show my different attitudes and styles of teaching techniques. So I'm happy in my profession. It is my passion and I love to be a teacher, and I'm engaging in these sessions from the first day, and I'm learning so many things from here, and I am being empowered from this session because being a teacher, we have to communicate with different kinds of people, different attitudes of people. And for that, I have learned so many techniques, and that techniques have worked for me also. And the best thing in communication skill I like is that first, smile, smile. I use first only smile, and then later on we start our conversation. So thank you so much. I'm a married woman. I have a one son. He's 10 years old. He studies in grade 5, and that's it.
Great. Perfect. Thank you. Maya, can you share with us?
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir, for giving me the chance that how for the I'm very thankful for Sarah ma'am and Climb Your Everest organization for giving this beautiful platform for women to empower, to learn something from this. And I'm very thankful for every opportunity. Every day we are learning different session, and along with communication skills, leadership skills, and other different we still have. And I would like to introduce myself. I am Maya Kandil. I'm selected by U.S. Embassy Youth Council batch for the volunteering session in U.S. Embassy Nepal, and I'm also the researcher, and I already have done research on climate change conference, which is related with our COP conference, which already held in Egypt. And I'm also a researcher of SARC Secretariat, South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation in Kathmandu headquarters. And along with that, I'm also a teacher. And these days, recently, I'm appointing as a teacher for the grade 8, 9, and 10 level of student. Beside of that, I'm also involved in different social activism in different organizations, from where every day it's a leadership and communication is the very essential in everyone, and I'm also learning to discuss from those organizations. And recently 2 months ago, I have represented Nepal into Mongolia. That was the organization International Union of Socialistic Youth Congress, and in that organization we were represented Nepal in terms of global issue, that women in frontline addressing global challenges. And during that time also our conference were held with the background that leadership and climate change, that was the core area. Yes, thank you, sir.
That's excellent, Maya. You have a very broad range of situations where you have to think about how to communicate. And so it'll be interesting, since Amrita has communication challenges from very young children to older children. You have a little bit older children, but then you have public speaking, you have people with different nationalities and languages that you may that may not be their primary language that you speak in common. So different challenges, but that was very good. So
Yes, sir.
well, excellent.
Yeah.
Okay. I asked everyone through an email to do some preparation for the session. I assume you got that email. And with that, I'm going to skip a little bit around, but I am very interested in a happy story, a relatively short story from each of your childhoods. And I'm going to pick on Sarah, you know. He may not have prepared for this. So, do you have one, Sarah?
I'm on mute. Yeah, I have a lot of his stories. I just want to make sure that both of you check your email and see the email that I sent you from Reagan, and kind of go through the questions, or if you haven't yet. But the number one childhood story that comes to my mind, which you can all understand about like how passionate I was about nature from back then, is that one time it was a holiday, and we decided to all go by a river next to our house and just make barbecue next to the river. And then there was this little hill next to the river, which there was no plan of anybody going up the hill, but I just saw it and I thought it would be so great for someone to go up there, like why should I be down here by the river? when there is a mountain. I mean, back then when I was little, that looked like a mountain, but it was just a very small hill. So then I went up there, and my cousins were there, and my cousins were older than me. And so we had a race and we had a match, and I made it to the top of the mountain. And I thought, oh my God, I'm so good at this. And I came down. On the way down, I fell like 10 times, and I had wounds all over my leg, and it was bleeding. But I was so proud that I was the first on top. And I came down and I told my mom, mom, I was the first one. And I thought like everybody would be like, wow, good job. They're like, but your whole legs are red, you're bloody. This is like, why did you want to be first? So but still, that's such a good memory for me. The fact that I made it, and yes, I was fully injured, and people were not proud of me. Everybody thought like I'm crazy for doing it, but I was so proud of myself for trying something difficult. So that's the number one thing that came to my mind.
That's why you climbed Everest.
That's why I climbed.
That's very good.
Yeah,
Rita,
that was just connected, yes, ma'am. That was just connected because since childhood you love to climb.
Yeah, I guess that's like, yeah, maybe, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, that was the significance.
Yeah.
And Rita, would you like to share, please?
Yeah, I always have the same kind of what to say connection to our profession, because what we be in our future, something happens in our childhood that is connected to our professional. So since childhood, I just always want to be a teacher, and while playing with the friends, and I just always want to be a teacher, and just be a strict teacher. One day also, my friends, they used to study in government school, and I was only the one who was studying in private boarding school. And then one day, as soon as we come from school, and we just want to play with the friends, and at that time I always used to be a teacher, a strict teacher, and I just want to teach them in English. And my friends were from government school, and they couldn't understand the English. And then I still remember, and I used to beat them with a stick. And then their parents starts scolding me. Why do you beat my children? You are from a rich family. You study in English school. We are poor. This kind of. I still remember those words. And yeah, that was the connected story. I'm just saying that was.
Oh, that's good. I'm kind of glad I wasn't one of your neighbors that got beat with a stick. So that's pretty good. So Maya, would you like to?
Yes, sir. I would like to share one such a story, and which has always gives me empower me. And in my school time, there have two different school: boarding school and community government school. I have completed my 10th standard from government school, community school, and there have a difference in Nepal. There have a difference between boarding and government school, because government school it's all about their syllabus is in Nepali, that we have to go through of it, and there we cannot found even one subject also in English. In boarding school, they're all subject in English medium. So that's why that is the difference between boarding and government school. That's why government schools children are weak in English, and that was the concept. And I also belong to government school. That's why when I after finish up my 10th standard, and that was the moment to get admission in 11th standard in science background, in science, because I always interested to join medical science. That's why I have decided to join science in biology stream. during that time, I was the one who were from community school, and all these students from boarding school. That was the difference. And I was always in first student in government school, and I always thought that that inferiority complex. I always thought myself that I'm not on their level because they came from boarding school. They may be talented than me, and I might not that. And so which thing has always makes me proud. I mean, after finish of 12th standard, when I went in my college for BSc in environment science, when I competed for the entrance examination, then finally I came to know that I was the topper. I was the topper of BSc, that entrance examination, and along with that, I was competed lots of medical entrance examination. I was selected there, and in that time, I was not interested to join BSc nursing and pharmacy because my focus was just to get a scholarship, full scholarship in MBBS, and if I get that, then that's okay. But not interested in BSc nursing and pharmacy. Then I thought I'm also after that when I selected in every university for the scholarship and in top level, I found that I'm also the one who also can compete with every level of a student, and which has always empowered me. That's why I'm trying one by one step that if you have any opportunity, trying to give my 100%, and that's why today I'm here. And this is my story, which is related with government school. Thank you,
See,
sir.
thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Well, mine very quickly is my name is Reagan, and I'm named after my grandfather. And I had a lot of respect for my grandfather. My grandfather was a farmer, and I grew up working on his farm. And when I was a small child, one of my favorite memories is of him teaching me how to drive a real tractor. And it's not a big deal, but it was just a special moment with someone I cared about. And that's a little bit too. I want to cover my preference is that you call me Reagan. It's very nice to call me sir. I appreciate it. It's okay if you do, but I see us all as learning and equal together. And that's my way of being show we're equal. And so you can call me sir, but Reagan is preferred. But I appreciate, and when you're communicating with somebody and you don't know, it's better to start formal and call somebody sir. And then if you know that's not necessary, then to change. So you did good, but I just wanted to explain that. Okay, I think we have Eleanor. Are you there?
Yes, yes,
Oh,
sir.
thank you. Thank you for joining us. I'm glad you could make it.
Glad to meet you, sir.
Yeah, glad to meet you. We are just starting in, and you haven't missed much, but I want to kind of keep going because we have a lot of material to cover. And I know that Sarah's recording this for other people, but just very quickly, Eleanor, I'd like to meet you. And so could you tell me very quickly what you do and what kind of people you normally communicate with?
Yeah, hi, sir. Actually, I'm an architect, but I do classes, empowerment classes with housewives in different villages in our South India. Like I'm taking classes for Kochi and Chilkapalli. It's in Telangana. So we will be dealing with the ladies who think they can do much better just sitting at home. They can earn money by learning their skills and developing their skills. I encourage them in communication and all.
Oh, that's very good, Eleanor. Yeah. What kind of architecture do you do?
Regarding my empowerment class or architecture?
Architecture. Do you design things?
Yeah, I design buildings as well as interiors also.
Nice. Very good.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you joined us. you all, I wasn't sure what your communication skills were going to be like. So I have a lot of material, but I'm going to skip around a little bit and tailor this a little more to what I see that everybody's doing. And so I don't think we have to cover everything, because I can tell that this group has got a lot of skills already. And so we'll kind of learn as we go through. And these may not be new things to you, but for me, it's good to review things, and I'm better at it the more I do that. I would like to hear very briefly, and if we could keep our answers kind of short, because we have so much material to cover, but I would like to hear from everyone, what is one thing that gets in the way of your communications? Maya, could you tell us one thing that gets in the way of your communications?
Thank you, sir. Since very long time, we're on the part of Climb Your Everest organization and learning communication skills here. And I found, this is my personal opinion, communication is like a basic skill. How we can communicate with our friends, with our parents, with our circle, and that it might be with a small child, it might be with our intellect personality, with our college professors, with everyone. If we have a best communication skill, then it's quite easy to solve any problem. But sometimes there have some there lacking of knowledge, and due to that we are not getting opportunity, and people don't like to talk with us, and people don't like to guide us due to the lack of knowledge. So that's why before we speak anything, if we have a small thing, we don't need such a big things, but if we have a small knowledge about how we can communicate with people, how we can empower the people, and how we can inspire others, a small thing, if we do that, then people might be interested to guide us, to tell something good about us. It will really be helpful for everyone, I think. So
Okay, thank you, Maya. Thank you. If I get that right, then what I wrote down for my note is that if we can improve small things with communication skills, and then people will be more willing to share their knowledge with us, and then that would be helpful. Is that correct? Okay, thank you. Amrita, do you have anything that you see as a barrier to communicating?
Barrier?
A barrier or a problem or something that gets in the way?
Mm,
And I'll let you think about that. And Eleanor, I'm going to ask you too, so I'll let you think, but listen while I'm talking. You can still kind of prepare a little bit. One of the things for me that I find that makes it hard to communicate with some people, and I have the worst communication experiences, is listening. Getting people to listen, really listen to what I'm trying to communicate, is one of the biggest barriers that I see. So
yes.
mine is listening.
Yes, lack of listening power, and the people sometimes they don't want to listen, and the body language they show while we speak. They just we feel awkward while we are speaking in front of them, and they show the different body language that make us feel bad, and we think that they are not concentrating us, they are not giving attention to our communication, and that is the barrier, I think.
No, that's good. I totally agree. Eleanor, do you have anything you would like to share that is a problem in communicating?
With respect to like a job and all,
It can be a job.
how much yeah, in my situation, I deal with clients, So I will be giving designs for them. So sometimes people take some time to uh, get back to me. I don't know what their thinking process is, but sometimes I feel a little like again to reach them. I will think whether to talk again or remind them that please review and like if you like the design, please come again to me. Like that, I get that communication gap.
No,
Do you
I think that's
understand?
good. I think so. Let me
Yeah.
see if I do. So what I think I heard you say is that sometimes communications are problems when the other party is not
Still doesn't.
responsive to you. They
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
get back with you. And so how to communicate more effectively when the other party is
Yeah.
lazy or just not.
Lazy, or maybe they take time to think on deciding that design. So I don't know why they become that late reply. So that was my problem. Yeah.
No, that's good. That's very helpful. Okay, so I want to go now a little different, and I want to talk about. I'm not going to cover a definition of communication. I think you all can define communication, and I'm not going to talk about all the elements of communication because I think everybody here has a pretty good idea. But what I want to do is emphasize a few things that I think make huge differences in all communications. So for me, the first step in communicating with somebody is to build rapport, to build trust. And so one of the bosses I had a saying, and what she said was that people don't care what you know until they know you care. So what to me that means is that people aren't listening to me unless they think I care about them. And so you want to project that you care. Different ways to do that. Everybody is exhibiting body language, nonverbal communication. And you've probably heard different researchers say that up to 80% of all communication is nonverbal. I'm communicating with you right now, non-verbally. I'm wearing a tie. I'm wearing a shirt. I have a mountain in the background. You don't know me, and you're listening to me talk about communication skills. So I thought it was important to show some level of care for you. I cared enough about you to put on a tie and a dress shirt. I just didn't wear my new favorite hat or a t-shirt. So that's communicating. When you're in a position of apparent authority or of apparent expertise and you are unfamiliar with your group, it's better, in my opinion, to come in and dress more professional than you might need to. This may not have been necessary, but I thought it would make it look more professional. So that's why I did that. So I'm using that communication. So examples of nonverbal communication, everyone here is doing it. And I'm really glad we've got everyone on video. And that'll go in not only to nonverbal communication, but some other listening skills later. Obviously, it's facial gestures. And, you know, with Zoom, it's a whole new thing. And I know Sarah does a lot of public speaking. And I've heard Sarah comment how much harder it is to be a public speaker when you're not in person. You're not right there physically with people. And one of the things I'm trying to do up high on the screen is use hand gestures. And so one of the things I think is really hard for people is when people are talking at them and they're not moving and they're not changing their facial expression, you can't see the hand gestures. We as humans I get bored so quickly. You know, I have a hard time listening to long things. And right now I'm kind of talking for a long time. So I have to be careful with that. So how do I make it more interesting? You're demonstrative, you use gestures, all this nonverbal. There's something called paralinguistics, and I had to look this up. And what it means is it's the loudness of your voice or the tone of your voice. And you communicate so much by the tone of your voice. You know, for example, if I say good morning, that communicates something to you. That communicates I'm happy. If I say good morning, same words, but different communication. And so those are big. And another thing is a word called proxemics. And that's how close you get to people. And in Zoom, you lose a lot of communication skills. So when you're having a meeting with someone in person, if you have something that's more difficult to communicate, you might move closer to that person. Or if you're in a different position of authority, if you're an authority figure like a teacher and your student is in a subservient authority, maybe you sit closer to them. Maybe you sit in a chair at their eye level and you don't stay up on in front of the class. You move around a little bit. Those are ways to engage your audience and get your audience to listen better. Obviously, eye gazes are a big thing. And another thing is called artifacts. So I have a mountain in the background, and this communicates something to you. It communicates something different to you than if I had a picture of a law degree. If I had a law degree, maybe you think I'm stuffy and I'm boring. But if I have a mountain and you're in Nepal, you know, maybe it helps. So all those communications are real. One of the biggest things I think about nonverbal communications is not only is that the majority of our communications, but that's where the truth is. So if somebody tells you something verbally, you can hear that. But when you see somebody's face and you hear their tone and you see their expressions, you put more weight onto the nonverbal and the verbal. So I can tell here everybody's pretty good at their nonverbal communications. As a speaker, I see people's heads nodding, I see smiles, I see eye contact. Those are all good communications. I can tell that you're paying attention. Let me see. So we talked about the nonverbal and how you can use that, but you use nonverbal to communicate and to build trust and rapport. And so when you're giving feedback to a speaker, or as a speaker, you're kind of observing that. Not only are you taking in communications, but you're building trust. So you're building the ability of that other person to listen more attentively. So I think, was it, sorry if I get this wrong, Amrita, did you talk about one of the barriers to communication being disruptions? People not paying attention?
Yeah, sometimes I feel so. And before taking this class, when I used to take some kind of presentation to give the students, and they don't give attention to us, and they start side talk, and they just keep their eyes outside. They just don't pay attention, and they just sit like with no discipline. and that's so that they are not attention to us. They are not interested in to our presentation. So that was the barrier. And I just want to ask one thing is that for non-verbal communication, to build a trust, presenters should have dress up, good looks, personality, dress up. I think these things also work to grab the attention of the audience, because if they think, oh, he's coming in this getup, what kind of knowledge they have, they start thinking like they don't believe us, but we're going to show. I think so. For the personality development, some kind of being a woman, some good makeups and dress up, well dressed up, and good looks also matters to capture the attention of the audience, I think.
I think that's very true. And I think it's very true what you said. And we're going to cover this a little bit later. But I think the biggest point is to think about your appearance, because you communicate through an appearance. And where it goes further is, what is your audience? So if your audience is a group of teachers, that might require one set of appearance. Or if your audience is young children, those are different appearance impacts. If you're going to a conference, an international conference, that's a whole other impact. And so being thoughtful about what you're trying to present with your audience, I think is really important. And so knowing that it's impactful, nonverbal, and then thinking further, well, dressing up is good, but maybe for some audiences, it's not as good as others. And so really thinking about who you're going to be talking to. But I totally agree. Let's talk for a very a short period of time, because I think you guys have some probably pretty good ideas. When you have a distracted listener, they're on their phone, they're not giving you eye contact, they're clearly not engaged. How can you bring them into the conversation? What can you do to lessen the distraction?
I just break my presentation at the time, and I just say everyone to stand up and to move and to change the place of each other. I just divide the groups in different ways, and so that they could engage with the unknown person to each other, to introduce themselves, so that they don't feel lazy and bored. And we just move the bodies with some kind of steps, dancing steps. These things I could do.
I think that's good. I think that probably works very well with children. Maya, if you have a distracted audience and you could make them dance, that would be good. But maybe that won't work for some audience you have. But you can look out there and you see your audience is just not with you. What can you do to get them back into the conversation?
Thank you, sir. On that situation, I think that should be better. If we give them some task which will make them engaged on it. It means like in presentation sometime the presenter only present what they has written on their PowerPoint and what kind of knowledge they have. Only they are explaining about that. Sometimes that audience is going to be bored with that. Maybe they already had that knowledge, or they may be not interested in it. In that time, if we give if we ask some questions, that mean like which will make them engaged on it, and that will be more helpful to find new answers. Maybe all the audience and all the individuals might have some their own perspective, their own answers. Every individual people, if we engage with that, then we can find some different answers, and they will also be interested for our session. It's like whole engaging. I think that will be the best one.
Very good. No, I like that. No, yes, that's good. Well, I want to keep moving because we have so much we can cover, and everybody here has so much to contribute. It's very high level. So when we are listening, I assume everyone's heard of the term active listening.
Yes.
Okay, because everybody here is doing it. And so you're all showing me that you're active listening. You're engaged with your eye contact. I'm getting head nods. I'm getting verbal affirmations. I can tell from your body language that you're engaged with it. And so that is very good listening. And so active listening does two different things. It shows the speaker that you care. So you're building more trust, more rapport, and then they feel better, and they're going to be better able to communicate with you. But it also helps you focus on what's being said. So everybody's doing really well with that. There are two components to active listening. There's the nonverbal component, which I see on the Zoom pictures you were doing, but there's also a verbal component. And I tried to model some active listening, verbal skills earlier in the session. And I'm going to go through a couple of them just fairly quickly. One of them is called paraphrasing. Okay. So if, let me see, I think it was Eleanor was talking about her clients sometimes don't get back with her on projects. And I said something about, so what I hear you say is that your communications sometimes are choppy or something like that from a lack of responsiveness. That's called paraphrasing. I'm taking a part of what she said and summarizing it and giving it back to her. That does a couple things. What that does is it gives Eleanor the opportunity to tell me, Reagan, I hear what you said, but that's not really what I meant. And here's what I meant. It gives her an opportunity to correct my understanding, to clarify my understanding, but it also gives her the opportunity to add to it. She can add a point that she thinks is important. So a big part of active listening is giving the speaker the opportunity through paraphrasing or some other questions to clarify their message. Another way to do that with verbal skills is asking open-ended questions. And so when Eleanor said that she has problems with a lack of responsiveness, I could say, well, Eleanor, could you give me some examples of what you've done to deal with that? It's an open-ended question. As you probably know, an open-ended question is one that cannot be answered with a yes or a no. It requires her to explain the situation. And in that way, you get the speaker to keep talking. You show the speaker you care. You show the speaker you're interested in the subject. And that's another form of active listening. All right, let me see here. Sometimes you can ask probing questions. So what I could have asked Eleanor is, Eleanor, can you give me an example of when someone was not responsive and how that impacted your project? It's a very specific question. I'm asking not for open-ended answer, but it's an answer that's not yes or no, that asks for more detail. That also shows her that I'm hearing her and that I care about what she has to say and I'm interested. You want to display empathy, and I can tell from everyone's facial expressions here, you're all good at that. And so some ways to display empathy are to say, well, Eleanor, I've had a situation like that too. And that was very frustrating. What you want to be careful of when you display empathy is that you don't want to act more important than the speaker. If I said, well, Eleanor, those are very frustrating, but let me tell you about what really is bad. I'm making her situation seem smaller and mine seem bigger. That doesn't make her feel any better. And so you have to watch not doing what's called one-upping and displaying empathy. All right, let me see here. We have a lot of material. I'm going to pick out the more fun stuff. Okay, let's do a role play. So we'll at least have a recording of a role play exercise. And a role play, let's evaluate active listening. And so I need a speaker, I need a listener, and I need an evaluator. Does anybody want to do any of those roles? I can assign roles to people. So I tell you what, I'll be the listener. Maya, can you be the speaker?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And Rita, why don't you be the evaluator? Both you and Eleanor will be evaluators. We'll have two evaluators. And what I want the evaluators to do is to judge my active listening. Was I a good active listener or a poor active listener, and why? Okay. And Maya, would you tell me a story about did you say you were just in Mongolia?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Could you tell me a kind of a short story? Don't go too far because we don't have too much time. Tell me that story, and I'm going to be your listener. And Eleanor and Amrita are going to give me feedback on my active listening.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Just 2 months ago, in 19th of April, I went in Mongolia, and it's a very big platform. I came to know that, and it was related with women in leadership program, women in frontline addressing global challenges was the name of conference, and that was the conference which was organized by Sogde Mesia, which is the largest organization, a political organization of South Asia, and only two participants from each country were represented there, and me and another this program is only for minister and member of parliament program, and I'm the luckiest one who was not that both the member of parliament and also the minister, and all the political leaders who were there, and I found it interesting. I have learned so many things from the people, and the whole session was run by the foreign affairs minister of Sweden, and all the participants who were related with member of parliament and the political leaders, and this is the like it's like a very big opportunity for me. In future, if I get this kind of opportunity, then definitely I can contribute my knowledge on it. And yes, I'm very thankful for the organization. I'm very thankful for all the participants who were there to taught us something greater and bigger regard politicals and leadership, and also in women empowerment. Yes, thank you.
Maya, how did you get involved in that organization?
Sorry, sir.
How did you first get involved with that?
Just a few years ago, I was like just involving on my academic, on my study, and I didn't know more about political and how it's going. I was involved in several organizations who is exactly doing, who is involved in leadership activism, and who is to do community engagement project in the community for the development and leadership activism work. And there have an interesting story. In early morning, Saturday morning, one of my senior has called me. They have a program in Kathmandu, one place, and if you're interested, then you can join with that program. And just I didn't know about the what is the program was, and I went there in early morning, 8 o'clock morning, and I was searching about that what kind of program was that, and I was searching the banner. If there have been, then I can acknowledge about that. If I have to speak, there might have panel discussion round, and if there is question, then I have to be prepared for that. That kind of third was on me, but I didn't find anything there. When I entered into the conference, I came to know that that was related with politics. It's mean like youth politics, youth in politics, and that is International Union of Socialistic Youth Congress, and that whole panel were like every individual were the political members, and that program was virtual into the world. And the foreign affairs minister of Myanmar, foreign affairs minister of Myanmar, Philippines, Malaysia, and different South Asian countries were there in virtually, and they wanted to know about each country during pandemic, how they are suffer, and how is going their sustainable development, and how the people are affecting by it, and what is the main problem, and how can we find solution into the countries, and how can we contribute. If we can, then we really wanna help it to the developing nation. And they were asked, we need 50% of women participation. And
Okay.
when I went there, none of the women were there who would do like to present their country in the conference, and male participants who were present their idea about Nepal. And one of the board member of that organization has asked me, you seems very active, I'm going to giving you this opportunity, because here tasks, we need 50% of women participation. I think you can, if you try to prepare within 5 minutes also, I think you can speak about that. And the foreign affairs minister of Myanmar, Philippines, and Sweden were watching virtually, and I was the first that was my first day that
Wow.
I never ever had that experience previously. I was not prepared. That was on the spot, and I was explained about Nepal. I was the situation of Nepal after pandemic, that the sustainable development goals, and
Okay.
what kind of solution we can find to solve the issues in Nepal. Yeah, that was the thing. Throughout that, I was involved in it.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Eleanor and Amrita, can you briefly tell me about my active listening skills?
Yeah. Hi, sir. Like first when Maya started the topic, you were not at all listening, or you are distracted by here and there, not to the camera, or you are not giving the eye contact. But after you asked Maya question, then you were actively listening to her. Whatever you asked, you were actively listening to her by nodding your head. We can say that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Amrita, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, in the there you saw two kind of quality, active listener or bad listener. In first stage, you were very bad listener. You were not concentrating to Maya. You were just showing drama that you are nodding head, but actually you were not listening to her. Sometimes you were watching mobile. Sometimes you do with different facial activities. That's so that you are going to you are not listening to her, and don't have any interest to listen her. But in the secondly, when you raise the question and you are trying to have the answer from the Maya very neatly. Thank you.
Thank you. Very good. And thank you, Maya, for saying that. One thing I do want to just touch on briefly is I think in all communications, it's important to be precise is good, but concise is good too. And so we really don't want to talk too much. It's very difficult, and especially difficult about things we are extremely passionate about. And so it may be good information, it may be exciting, the audience might want to hear it, but is that the time to say that much information? And so that's just something that I always work on. And so, especially when I was a lawyer, if you talk, you lose people a lot. And so you want to be concise. And sometimes what you can do is, if you have much more, is listen to that audience. And so one of the things about active listening, as a listener, we actively listen, but as a speaker, we're actively listening too. So when your audience is a jerk like I was, you kept it together, you kept going, Maya, you did good with that. And then when I showed interest, you expanded on that. I appreciate that. One of the things I think that you probably could improve on is don't talk too much. You have a lot of good things to say, and you say it well, and they're important and they're interesting. It's be careful about not saying too much. If your audience asks you a question, then they're telling you, I want more. And try and listen to those things in that situation. So anyway, everybody's doing really well. So, okay. I want to talk a little bit about barriers to communication. And I think we all have lots of them. And one of the things that Eleanor said was a lack of responsiveness and receiving feedback on a proposal or something related to your architecture job. What suggestions do we have for Eleanor when somebody is not responding to us as soon as we want? What can we do?
To have a written form of feedback.
Yeah.
Some people don't want to talk. They just prefer to write. From that also we can get a review of the presentation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if Eleanor sends somebody an email and they haven't responded, and she wants them to respond sooner, what can she do? I tell you what I have done sometimes. I mean, it depends. All communications depend on the audience. So, do you know that other person? Is this the first time you're communicating with that other person? These are different things. But if it's somebody you don't know really well, um, you do what's kind of a soft question. And so, if Eleanor sent me a proposal to build an office building for me for my law firm, and I haven't gotten back with her. She doesn't know if I like it, I don't like it, I'm on vacation, when am I going to do this? So she can send me another email and say, I just wanted to follow up and ask if you had any questions about my proposal. And so it's different than saying, when will you respond to me? Which is a little harsh. She could say something soft that's easy for me to respond. If I got that, I would think, well, I probably need to get back with her. I don't have any questions. Eleanor, I'll let you know by next Tuesday where I'm at. So you can probe with some soft things in, but it's a difficult situation.
Yeah, sir, I like to take two examples. Like I have two types of clients. One client, when I just message him or when I give a call to him, he will respond very quickly. He will, whatever it is, he is there just right away. But the other client, when I send my proposals or and ask whether can I meet today at this and this time, he will not respond. So I keep on trying by call or I ask him again, just a reminder to today's meet. I just make messages like that, requesting only, because I'm in profession. I have to be polite. Whatever it might be, he is paying me, so I need to give him polite reply. So I do that, and I just wait for his response till he calls me or give a message. I just have to wait for him. So that is the way.
I think
It
that's
is the
good. I
only
think
way.
sometimes it's appropriate to go ahead and follow up again sometimes. And I know Maya's probably got some tough situations like that when you deal with lots of different government people and lots of nonprofits. I would assume the responsiveness is challenging sometimes. So, Maya, do you have anything that you do to help people respond to you?
Um, At first, I think during, since very long time involved in leadership and activism, what I came to know that if people are not engaging, if people are not entertaining without presentation, in that time we have to speak less and have to give them a task that will make them engaged on it. Because with that, we can find a real answer from the audience. Because sometimes if we always speak a lot and presenting our one way, it's more like audience may think that we are very educated and presenting our idea to them. And so instead of that, if we give that chance to them, then they will be very much interested about the game and about the assignment, and they think that they are also the responsible person. They also can contribute something for the program, and I think that that should be the best one. We can make everyone, it's mean like we're giving opportunity to everyone to bring their concept for the topic.
Well, that's good, and that gets the best answers, and that's really good way to build rapport. When you ask someone like you're talking about to help you with something, they tend to trust you more. And then when you're speaking, because they trust you more, they'll listen better or be better listeners. So very good. All right, I know our time is, we're coming up on that. I want to go through maybe a couple other barriers. I think, Maya, you probably deal with this more, where you have different fluencies of listeners and audience participants. So I'm fluent in English. That's my native language. It's probably not the first language for the rest of you. And so that has some barriers. And so some of the things when you're speaking to people who are not the same first language as you are, is you have to be careful with jargon, slang and words that they may not have used or are familiar with, or that your particular language, like English, is crazy and has so many different meanings for some tough words that I try and avoid those. I really like to use humor in my communications, but I am more careful using humor when I have people who are different cultures and who are less fluent in English, because humor comes over differently that way. And it's very difficult for people sometimes to see that the same. And that's one of the things I've learned. Let me see. I think that's good. Just want to see what else I want to cover. One of the things that Sarah's material had was to talk about writing better emails. And I just want to pick out a couple of things that I think are important in writing emails. One of them that a lot of people disregard is the subject line. And so I think it's important to pay attention that when you're writing an email, put thought into what subject you're putting in there. So especially if you have somebody, Eleanor, that maybe isn't responsive, that subject line might be the only thing they're going to look at. And so be thoughtful about that subject line in emails. I think some people are kind of loose with that. And the other thing is be concise. When I see a big email, I don't really want to read a big email. And so try and be really concise on those email communications. I think that helps a lot. I know we're scheduled for an hour, and I've got it at an hour and 6 minutes. So I want to be respectful of everyone's time, but I can stay. And if anybody has any questions or other topics you want to cover, I'm happy to do that. Eleanor or Maya, is there anything else you want to talk about relating to communication?
No, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, and Maya, I saw your comment. You're happy to send me an email. Did either of you get the email that I had sent to Sarah? I think she was going to. Do you have that?
Okay,
Is my
sure.
email address on there?
I will check. Okay, I'm
Okay.
checking, sir.
I'm happy to give it to you if you don't have it. I can. Would it be helpful just to give you my email address so you've got it? Okay. My email is REAGAN
Yes,
KRICK at gmail.com. REAGAN at gmail.com. And you're welcome to ask any questions or just send me an email and tell me you had a great communication. That's okay too. So I really enjoyed getting to meet both of you. I think Amrita had to leave or internet problems, but Maya and Eleanor, it's been fun. And congratulations on working on this course and going through all this. I think it's fantastic what you're doing. I can see that you're both very intelligent, well-spoken, good communicators, and I'm just excited that you're associated with it and look forward to hearing about any of your successes. So please contact me anytime.
Okay, sure, sir. Sure.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, very, very welcome. So thank you for participating, listening, and sharing. You both did a wonderful job. I'm going to go ahead and sign this off so that Sarah will have something kind of close to an hour. But like I said, I'd love to hear from either of you anytime. So thank you. You were fantastic.
Okay,
Thank
thank you,
you
sir.
so
I
much.
also have some questions to ask with you, but I will text you in email, sir. I will do
Okay.
email.
Okay. You're very
About the
welcome
topic
to.
that is not related with communication skills, but it's related with some another topic, and I will definitely be in communicate
Yeah,
with you.
I'm happy to do that. I look forward to it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, thank
Have
you,
a great
sir.
day, both
Okay.
of you. Thank you. Bye.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, bye.
Thank
Bye.
you, sir. Bye, sir. Thank
Bye.
you.